Hey guys, your Grandpa John coming at you with another Diablo Immortal video. This one is going to be a in-depth guide. I want to go ahead and I want to talk about damage. I think it's a topic that a lot of people are misconstruing and not understanding exactly how it works. Mainly just because I think you don't understand the limitations as far as what it actually takes to grow the amount of damage that you can do. So a lot of people are out there saying they need to spec into as much damage as possible, and they're not really taking into consideration how to acquire said damage when it comes to Diablo Immortal. Okay, so the reason why we started the video and we talk about what damage is, what we were doing here, is even though this should be a no-brainer for you guys, right? Like everyone knows that for most part, Diablo Immortal isn't so much of an in-depth game as like Diablo 3 or Diablo 2, and it's fairly straightforward. But one thing that I want to point out here and notice is, and really differentiate between the fact is that damage and strength do not directly correlate. And your actual combat rating and your damage are a little bit different. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this now so that way you guys fully understand what I'm saying when I say this. So notice that my current combat rating, mind you, without my gems, right? I don't have my gems in here right now. If I go to combat rating, I get a 22% increase, right? When it comes to damage. So with that being said, how does that directly translate with combat rating and damage itself, right? So a lot of people are curious, like when it comes to strength, notice the strength here, which does increase your damage. Notice the ratio that it increases the damage. It's 925 to 277. Now, with that being said, the reason why we want to talk about that here is, here, let's get rid of the 6,500 because that's going to be, we're going to use that for a later part of this video. Let's go ahead and let's just talk about this real quick. So for 925 combat rating of strength here, it gives us 277 damage. So how much does that actually give me? So let's see here, 277 divided by 925. What does this actually give me? This gives me about 29% increase, okay? So 29% of your combat rating for strength transfers over to actual damage. So that's a very, very low percentage, right, when it comes to strength. So that's why we have this number pulled up, and let's talk about it. Is because if, say I remove these pieces of gear, right, these have strength on them. How important it is to have that strength on there versus not having it on there? Does that directly impact your damage astronomically? That's the real question, because a lot of people are not really grabbing damage the right way. A lot of people are prioritizing some of the stats you get on your legendary pieces of gear over others because, oh, it gives you more damage overall. But how much more does it actually give you? And what are you actually sacrificing by doing this? Most importantly, the thing I want to bring up here is the amount of time invested, right? So say, for example, if you are a player who plays 3 or 4 hours a day, you're in a lot of Lego pieces and you're trying to, pick and choose, you only go by the arrows, it says this is a better piece of gear. How important is it for you to actually increase the strength on your gear pieces? How important really is it to really maximize what you're doing? So let's talk about it, because if you want to increase your damage, then the real ways to really increase your damage are going to be driven by mostly the normal gems. I would also say increasing your resonance does help drastically, and your Paragon tree is also going to help a lot, as well as Ivanfod Sanctum. So because when you go over here and you get this damage here, this is straight linear damage, right? This isn't anything, this isn't combat rating damage, this is just damage, which is totally different and a lot more beneficial for your build, right? So, but first, let's go ahead and show you why I say this, because I know a lot of people are going to say on the comments down below, John, you're dumb. Combat rating rules everything. Well, it doesn't really. It really doesn't. It doesn't increase your amount of your damage output. Sure, if you're trying to do challenge events, PvP, sure, you may have a point. I personally, I could care less when it comes to PvP. Challenge drifts, yes, that is important. However, what's more important is the fact that you have fun and have good quality of life, and you're not stressing about something that really bears no demerit, so to speak, on your account. So let's first talk about the amount of damage that we have. So let's talk about the initial damage we have. We have 6,587 damage currently, right? Now, when I remove these pieces of gear, what I want to show you here is that we have 96 strength on this one. We have 104 strength on this one. That's over 200 strength, right? So I want you to think about that when we remove that. So how much linearly do you think I'm going to lose damage-wise? Is it going to be astronomical? Because these are the main pieces that I have strength on. Like I don't have it on my weapons here, right? I don't have it on any of my other pieces of gear. These are the only two that I have that have it. So does this mean when I lose that strength, do I drop a massive amount of damage? Is that where it goes from? That's why we're gonna bring it up. So watch what happens when I remove these two. So let's go ahead and remove this one first. Okay, notice that I removed that one first. Oh wow, my damage dropped by, what is that? 31? Yeah, 31 damage by losing the 104 strength. That's it. So the 104 strength does not directly translate. It's about 30%, like we just said, right? We literally did the math for strength here. Remember, we did this ratio strength. It's about 30%, 29 point something, right? So notice this 104. We lost 30 something. It's about the same ratio, right? It's about 30%. So is it really worth it for you to really gain a whole lot? Does getting these strength modifiers on your legendary pieces of gear give you the most damage? Not really. And it's going to be further example and shown by removing the helm. Now notice the 96 strength there on the helm. So when we go ahead and remove that, oh no, what happened, John? We're down 500 and what is that? 575 damage. That was definitely astronomical. You shouldn't have done that. Not really. It's 575. This piece of gear itself gives 505 damage, right? So that makes sense. Linearly, it's gone. We are now, what is this? We lost 575, so really it's 70 damage that we actually lost between these 96 strength there and the 104 here. So once again, it's about that 30% mark, right? So it's not that big of a deal. In total, honestly, it's, let's go ahead and do the math here. It's not that drastic of a problem anyways, because like I said, that 575, you're gonna make up instantly just by equipping any helm that you drop within your particular Paragon level. In this case, I'm in Paragon 4, so this would be a Paragon 4 helm, right? All right, now, what does this do to translate to your combat rating? Because that's what a lot of people are gonna counter argue and talk about in this video. So if we go over here and we go to combat rating, I want you to see exactly what this did for us. So this is, so 22% here, right? Was what we started with. Now we're at 15%. We lost 7% damage, okay? Once again, does that make or break the bank? Is this where you need to be getting your damage from, is from your legendary pieces of gear with the strength attribute? Absolutely not. It doesn't matter. Combat rating does not dictate everything you do in the game. And I think a lot of people really need to start understanding that unless it is a certain particular part of the game, such as the challenge rift or PvP content, even in then PvP content only uses a third of your stats. I do think a lot of people need to understand that to really get damage, like how to maximize your damage, what you need to be doing is the following. Obviously, yes, having these pieces of gear is nice. Having high resonance, that's nice, sure. What happens when I go over to my damage here and I increase my resonance? So 658, we'll say, right? So we'll say 6587. And then let's go ahead and let's just equip our gems that we had. So if I select that one and I equip it, notice that that bumped up by, for that one gem, right? This is a level 4, sorry, is this a level 4 gem? They're level 5, 4 out of 5 Echoing Shade gem, 5-star, right? That changed my damage by approximately 430 points, right? So that means when I equip this one over here, it's gonna be almost the same here. Another 430. And then we'll notice that if we go ahead and we subtract this, you'll see that's 1,056. So really what gave us the most damage, guys, was getting the resonance up. That gave us a higher percentage. And also, the fact that we have these normal gems is really where a lot of this comes in. I want you to see every red normal gem that I have over here is a tourmaline. It's all for damage. I'm not using any rubies. I'm using all tourmalines for damage. So notice that I'm getting 92 damage there, 92 damage here, 92 damage there. Notice that these are all stacking, right? So total, I have a 5. I have 5 total at, what is this, 92 damage. So that in itself gives me 460 damage, which is great. And then if I go look at the Paragon tree, so if we go to Paragons, right, and you go to where it is, so if you have a 25 one, this gives you plus 500, right? This is the other way to get your damage. These are the 2 best ways, in my personal opinion, to get them. So if you are somebody who wants damage, do not run around crazy thinking you need to farm all day long for legendary pieces of gear to get your combat rating up to increase your damage. Do not do that. Acquire normal gems. On top of acquiring normal gems, find something else that's kind of fun to do for yourself that can level you a little bit. That's not necessarily just looking for legendary pieces of gear, because obviously by leveling gets you more Paragon levels. I do highly recommend that you go watch my video where I talk about the best Paragon tree for season 4. It'll help you a little bit as far as how I'm utilizing my own. But yeah, that's why you can leverage getting these additional points here, because this is what's really going to matter for the amount of damage that you actually have on your character. Now, I will note here that damage, crit rate, and crit damage are different. Damage, in my opinion, is more important at the moment, because your crit rate, even though it's getting higher, it's getting better. You're easily getting more crit rate. Crit damage really is double the damage plus the crit damage percent of it, right? So really the higher your damage is, the more output you're gonna have total when you do a crit. So that's why I emphasize the point of don't get hoodwinked with combat rating and damage. Look at damage as a straight linear path as far as how much you want to actually do damage or output in the long run, okay? That's gonna kind of do it for this video. I hope this helped you guys a little bit with understanding what damage is and how to better modify it to work for you. Because mainly I'm one of those people where I will never tell you how to play the game. I want to educate you so that way you know how to play the game, so that way you can take and make an inferred decision on what you think the best way to do this is going to be, and then from there you can kind of blossom, pick your own battle, pick your own stats that really seems to work the best for your build. Some people who are maybe not as aggressive will like more HP builds and so on and so forth. There is no really right or wrong answer as long as you can do the content itself. But hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more about how damage works, how it's not the end of the world if you don't have like triple stats and strength on every single piece of gear, so it's okay to sacrifice the ones that don't have it there. It doesn't actually increase as much as you think it does. But yeah, that's gonna kind of do it for this video. I hope this helped you, and until the next time, guys, have a good rest of your day. Peace.